Well, this is Baruch Fleischman again here at your Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and I want to show you what we're starting here today. This is the Tikunei Zohar. Okay, the Tikunei Zohar has some really great stuff in it. It's a very high-level things. During the month of Elul is a time when normally designated for the learning of the Tikunei Zohar. The Zohar itself in Sefer Devarim is sparse. So therefore, I'm going to start right now. We're in the 11th day of the month of Av, and we still have quite a bit of ways to go in Elul. Before we get to Elul, I want to start this over here. Now, we're using a different sefer than we did. It's not the Matak Devash, but instead it's the Tikunei Zohar, but it comes from the Keser Kavod, which is the Abuchatzeros in Nauriya. These guys are real serious learners. So let's see what we can learn from this. We're going to read the top as we do. These are the words of Rebbe Shimon. Rebbe Shimon azach abelei ba'arach l'madbarach of the load. So Rebbe Shimon went on his way, and he left for the desert of Lod. Vizgeniz b'chad ma'arta. He hid himself in a certain cave. Hu Rebbe Elazar Barei, he and Rebbe Elazar his son. Israchish Niza developed or sprouted out a miracle. Nafek l'chon chad charov v'chad mind l'demaya. So came out for them, grew up for them, a carob tree and a spring. Achle mehachu charov, they ate from the charov. V'shase mehachu maya, and they drank from that water. V'havach Eliyahu zacha l'tov asi l'chon, and Eliyahu zacha l'tov came to them. V'kol yoma trei zimne v'oliv lom. He came to them 2 times every day and taught them. V'lo yada inish behu. Nobody knew that this was happening. B'zohar chadash parshas tavo. So over there, kasav sham v'da iskri Tikunei Zohar. So what he taught them, or this, it sounds like, is called the Tikunei Zohar. The inin shivin anpin lo raisa. They are 70 different faces of the Torah. The Farish Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai b'milas Bereshis, that is Rebbe Shimon explained with one word, the word Bereshis, the Sisrei Araisa, and this all comes from the secrets of the Torah. Now let's just look at this next page. Okay. Now as we've been learning, we're going to learn first this little blurb right here. So he says, Amarma de Holon. So what we're about to learn, Makora Bezohar Chadash and Parshas Kisavo. So the real place where you find this little Zohar that we're about to learn, in the Zohar Chadash and Parshas Kisavo. V'hu v'kan, Beketzer, here it's brought in a shorter form. V'hakdama l'gilui sodas hatara, ayidech Rashbi, Rashbi, v'chiber seper ha'tikunim hazeh. So he says that over there, this bit about Rebbe Shimon and apparently maybe it's interesting to be seen. Maybe I should open that up. Over there it talks a story about Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon and Rebbe Elazar and the carob tree and so on and so forth. So he says, so basically what we're coming over here is bringing an introduction and joining it together with the Sefer, with the Tikunei Zohar we're about to hear. So this story is really brought in the Talmud, in the Sefta Shabbos. It says, because Rebbe Shimon talked about the real bad part of the Roman kingdom, the Malchus Romi, the Nishbach Devarach of the Malchus of Bikshu Lahargo, and that the Malchus, that is the ruling party, the Romans, heard about it. They wanted to kill him. So they went together with his son Rebbe Elazar Beno. His Medrash. First they hid themselves in the yeshiva. But when things got more serious and they started looking more closely for him, his tantra he went and he climbed and he did what he had to do and hid himself in a cave. He says, the Mesher Shlosh Aser Shanim, and he was there for 13 years. V'asko sham b'Torah. And what was he doing there? Learning Torah. V'zecha v'ma shepasach kan v'siper. So this is what has been talked about here, and we're going to start to learn it. Now, we're going to read the Pirish. So he said, his galos sodos ha-Torah al yedei Rashbi. So this is starting to teach us secrets. He said, Rebbe Shimon Azalek. Rebbe Shimon chalok lo b'dechidach b'im Rebbe Elazar. So he went with Rebbe Elazar b'no. But his chaber b'beis ha-medrash, he hid himself in the base of Midrash. Mipnei ha-malchus, because the Romans were after him. Shabigo bikshu lahorgo, because they wanted to kill him. When they got really close, Arach lamad barach the Lod, he ran away to the desert in Lod. Barach lamid balod, v'hiskeniz b'chad ma'arta hu Rebbe Elazar b'rei. So he hid himself. V'hatam atzbach hasham b'ma'ara achas hu Rebbe Elazar b'no. Israchish nisa, nafek lachom chad charav v'chad mayin v'chad his rachesh, it developed out lahem for them a sham nes sham nes v'tzamach. There was a there occurred a miracle. V'tzamach avuram eitz charav echad. There was one carob tree l'mayin mayim chayim, at a living spring. In other words, a live spring, fresh water. So they ate the charav and they drank the water. And he taught them. That is, Eliyahu Hanavi came and taught them. So he came and he taught them twice a day. And he taught them the Torah, the secrets of the Torah. Below Yada Inish Behu. Nobody knew this was ever. Below the Yada Ish Mehem. Ish Makoma. Nobody knew where they were. So all this shows, is shown rather. Bezoar Chadash and Parshas Tavo, because of Sham over there, it talks about it in more detail. Amnam Sham but over there it's brought for a different purpose. So let's see what else he says. So it says like this. That the time that Rebbe Shimon was hidden away in the cave, Nish'ara b'necha yeshiva b'ladov below choya lechem mimi l'shol v'lip shot sefekol sehem b'lim in the Torah. So there was nobody there. He was gone. He was the head of the yeshiva. He left. The people in the yeshiva no longer had someone they could ask questions from. Some of them could teach them Torah. The naga l'rishon shal losei b'piska v'choya sholchim b'lov ayed Rebbe Yonah acha. So that what would they do? The Risham, so that they would write something, that is their Shailosehem, that is their question, Bepeska, with a little note, and they had a certain pigeon, what's the right word, dove, that they would send, and he would take it to Rebbe Shimon, and then he would answer them through this dove himself. And so that over there it describes all the pain that Rebbe Shimon had. Because he was so distant, he was so separated from the others in the yeshiva, the students. Because there was no one to teach them so. But when he came out of the cave, Kiba Rishus, the Hechel, the Galos, so the Torah, he received Rishus from the Most High, I suppose, and he began to reveal the secrets of the Torah. And amongst those secrets is also this Sefer, which is called the Sefer HaTikunim. So he said, Tikunei Zohar. So therefore, this is called the Tikunei Zohar. So the 70 Tikunim that we find in the Sefer, Hem nekroim Tikunei Zohar. They're called by the name the Tikunei of the Zohar. The Inin Shavin Anpin Loraisa, there's 70 different faces of the Torah, Shehem Shivim Pon of the Torah. The Farish Rebbe Shimon, that Rebbe Shimon explaining by Yochai B'midah Bereshit Misisrei Oraisa. So he says the word Bereshit, he translates them or he explains them. Let's read this. Shapirish Rebbe Shimon by Yochai, Rebbe Shimon by Yochai explains. Because there are many different combinations that you can make with the word Bereshit. So of those different letters, Al Pi Sisrei Torah, where he's going to take the word Bereshit and he's going to explain it according to the secrets of the Torah. So now we have another Hakdama. This Hakdama is Tikunei Zohar. Let's just look at the top of the whole thing. We're on page Dalet over here. Kum Rebbe Shimon stood up. Iftach milin kamei shechinta. And he began to speak in the presence of the Shekhinah. Pasach v'Amr began and he said, V'hamaskilim yaskira g'zohar rakia. Those who have seichel, yaskira, they shine, k'zohar harakia, like the radiance of the heaven. V'gomer v'hamaskilin, so then we conclude from this what? He says, v'hamaskilin, Elin Rebbe Shimon v'Havria. We're talking about Rebbe Shimon and also his yeshiva. Yaskira, they'll shine out. Kad iskan shechov le'me'eved chai chibura, when they all gather together to make this group together, this yeshiva. Rishusi is yehibluhum. So there is permission was given to them. Eliyahu imahem, and also Eliyahu, who was with them. Ulechal neshmazim, and all of the neshamas, the mesiv of sivton, of their mesivta, their yeshiva. And then nachasech benaychu, to go down in the midst of them. Ulechal malachayach iskasyach ba'orech seichel, and all of the malachim that are covered up, but they're covered up by the path of seichel. I have to really think about what that possibly means. So we're going to stop there because there's a period. So let's make a little translation, see what he says. So we're going to read this a little bit here. B'terem yiftach Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai begilu yisodas sefer tikunim. So before he starts to say that the sodas of the sefer tikunim, Mofia ma'olam ha'elyon, nishamas rayim mehemna limsor lo reshus ha'ein sof baruch hu la'aso begilu yisodas haTorah. Now let me read this again. Mofia appeared before him, ma'olam ha'elyon, for the upper worlds, nishmas rayim mehemna, the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, who is called the Rayim mehemna, limsor lo reshus, in order to give him permission. That is from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, La'asa Begilu Yisodas Torah, in order to be able to start revealing the secrets of Torah. Amar Raya Mahemna. So now we say this is the Raya Mahemna speaking, and the way I translate it, he's actually saying it's a command. Kum Rebbe Shimon. He said, Rebbe Shimon, stand up. Kum Rebbe Shimon Aftach Milin. Pasach Picho, open up your mouth. Ve'emed v'racho, and say what you have to say. In other words, this is the reshus. Kamei shchinta, lifnei shchina. Now he has another v'asos lo nachas ruach v'lasachna, to be able to make her basically really sweet for her, in order to build her. V'hata yidrosh Raya Mahemna b'ma'alos Rashbi. So now the Raya Mahemna wants to talk about the real great qualities of Rashbi. Now we're going to quote this pasuk, which is Mamaskilim Yaskira Bezora Hakia Begomer, etc. This is from Daniel, and so we want to get an idea of what he's talking about. So he says, pasuk Raya Mahemna. So the Raya Mahemna began to speak. Va'amar Mamaskilim Yaskira Bezora Hakia Begomer. So this is from Daniel, as we said before. Badrash Vadorish, and explains like this: V'hamaskilin inin Rebbe Shimon v'Havri. Who is these maskilin? These people on this high level, the Rebbe Shimon and his yeshiva. Hamaskilim ein the Rebbe Shimon v'Hashishim, and the Shisha Chaverim Now, let's just go through this, is that in the Idras, everybody didn't survive the Idras, and so the Mahaskilim are those that Rebbe Shimon and the 6 Chaverim Nosru that remain Meha Idra Kevin Sheyatza B'Sholem, because they were able to go into that high level and come out. They were able to reach a tremendously high level. V'nikro kach, and therefore they're called by this name, Al Shum Hamas Mistaklim Bepinimis Adevarim V'Halomim. So he said, because they're able to look into the inside, what's actually we understand that from the Ani Hashem B'Kerev Aretz, he's in everything. So therefore, those who can look at where he is and how he is, those are the ones that call Maskilim. Heim Yazchiro, they wind up shining. B'Zohar Rakia, B'Chobsora Elyon, with a light from up above, Kad Iskanshu L'Me'evet Chai Chibura. Who Sefer Tikunei Zohar, and then after, so he says, since they all get to gather together to start working on this Tikunei Zohar, he said, they get rid of Rishus, the Vazos Nitna Rishus the Rashbi, so that he got all of these learners, all of these Yeshivalites that were with him through the Idras, and have come out. Now they're going to start working on this. The Bezos Nitna Rishus the Rashbi V'Chadra, the Seis for the Seis, in order to go back and forth. Beso the Satorah, in other words, to start shuckling with the Torah and making making sense out of it. HaTorah an Le'olomim. L'galus and l'la'aso b'chem b'fum b'af la'alosim al ksav. In order to bring them up really into his womb, into his arm, so to speak, v'la'alosim al ksav, and be able to bring them up. Is that right? L'ha'alosim al ksav. V'liyahu imohim. So in other words, that it would be possible to record this. And so that Eliyahu was also there. Rishus zu nosuna af Eliyahu hanavi. So also the Eliyahu has Rishus also. L'hishtafef imahem b'gidul sodas v'kesibasem, with the revelation of these sodas and how they're written down. And that they should be written down, I think. V'lechol nishmasim, and then all of the neshamas v'rishus nosuna af. The kol shar han neshamas hakadoshas, all the rest of the holy neshamas. The misbaton, that's the right word, the misbaton shabishas okay, that translation in misbaton is the lashon misivta or yeshiva shabishtei hamasibos Amasibasos Elyonas Shebegan Edna Elyon V'Tatoin Shebegan Edna Tachtoin, so that we're talking about the Mesiftas, that is the yeshiva of above and the yeshiva of down below. L'nachsa b'naychu she'eidach b'neshama b'nechaba Elyon, so the neshamas of those who came from the upper world, Rishoyim l'redet v'liyaslavish b'demus v'tzura, they're able to come down, clothe themselves in the image and the form of, I guess, of a person, they lahofia b'masifta shel Reb Shimon, in order to be able to be present there in the Masifta of Rashbi. B'ati hishtate begiluch b'sodas, and also to be a partner in the gilui of these sodas. Rishus mifnei atzman, they had rishus, a permission by themselves. The sundach of the kol malachai is also given to malachim, all the malachim. All the malachim sheyirushoyim l'redet v'l'chofia b'masifta should come down and show themselves in the Masifta, the Rebbe Shimon, rak b'iskasi, but they were only there in a hidden kind of way. Shelo yirach b're'iyach hushis ela ba'ofen nista, so they only can be seen in a very hidden way, of or seichel, and only through the mind, b'riyas zichlis. So that's the beginning of this. I may get a chance to look at that one last part again tomorrow when we come in. But this is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and this is our first year in the Tikunei Zohar.